and it was brilliant. I was just taking everything in, and Bristol City had the opportunity to bring in Thomas Callas on loan from Chelsea. So the manager just kind of sat me down and said, listen, as a club, we have the opportunity to bring in Thomas Callas, who's like proven championship defender, done X amount of years with Chelsea, like someone that we really, really like. And listen, you're a fantastic player, of course. Who was I? Do you know what I mean? I've just come from Cheltenham. And the manager just said, listen, we think that a loan would be the best option for you. So we kind of both agreed on that, and just said, listen, if I can get the right club and get me out on loan, then brilliant. As long as the manager's now like happy with me, it's kind of it's a good loan. It's a positive loan rather than get out because I don't think you're good enough. It was more get out, learn some games, and come back and show me that you're capable of doing it. And the loan to Southend came about, where Southend already had Sean Mikulski on loan from Bristol City, and I was lucky because previously I'd worked with Chris Powell a couple of times during England camps when we were under 17s, 18s. So I knew the manager, and Bristol City basically just said, "Would you be interested in taking Taylor Moore on loan?" And in all honesty, like, nobody would. No, like not one club kind of turned around and said yes, which was understandable judging from my games at Bury and at Cheltenham. I wouldn't have taken myself. Do you know what I mean? Like, so people were just coming back, no, and basically Southend just said, listen, we'll take Taylor, but we can't really guarantee that he'll play. Because we've got some good defenders here. Obviously, Michael Turner, John White was there. Rob Kiernan was at the club, although he was injured. Can't remember. Harry Cipriano as well. So like some good defenders, and they basically said, listen, we'll take Taylor, but we can't really guarantee that he's going to play. And I said to my agent, like, Southend, I said, get me there. Go, make sure I get there, and don't worry, like I'll make sure I play. Even if it takes a couple of weeks, like I will get in the team, don't worry. And I was so confident, like that pre-season, after having a good pre-season, a boost from the manager at Bristol City, a kick up the backside from my agent and my parents to say, like, you need to do more. And obviously Southend, so back in Essex, back home, just everything fell into place nicely that summer. And like got myself down to Southend, and as you know, like fell in love with it.
Yeah, what was your first impressions of the club?
First impressions of the club were brilliant, to be honest. I think I arrived down one night and I'd been put in the hotel, and I think the next day we were playing Cheltenham. So I got told by the gaffer, listen, come see me before pre-match. I'll have a chat with you and everything like that. And so I was just in the hotel with my tracksuit. The kit man Scotty, he put a bag in there of all my stuff. So just I was so excited to kind of go in that day and meet all the lads. And obviously I sat down with the gaffer, and the gaffer, which I knew, straight away, obviously a massive smile on my face, just said, like, gaffer, like, thanks for having me. You know what I mean? This is before I even got started. I was just saying, like, thanks for the opportunity. Like, I'm buzzing. Thanks. And then walked into pre-match, and all the boys were there. And I think that day we ended up losing to Charlton. I think we lost 2-1 or 1-0. I think it was
probably something like that.
A late header. Anyway, like, I knew for a fact that I wouldn't play that game. I think I was on the bench, didn't come on or anything, and we had a cup game midweek, which was against Cambridge at home. So it was just like a nice little game to kind of get started. I think it was in the JPT or something like that. It was a nice way to kind of bed myself in, and like it was another experience. Like, I'd been to Bury, I'd been and discovered that, and I'd been to Cheltenham, and then all of a sudden I was at Southend. So and I'd been and done it before. It wasn't my first loan. I knew how to kind of act, and what mistakes did I make at Bury when I was in Manchester. Like, I probably didn't go towards teammates enough. I probably didn't go out in town enough or get to know the locals enough. Like I didn't. So when I was just so determined to just have a different experience and make sure it was a good one.
Yeah. Quickly, what was Ron Martin like?
Oh, Ron! I love
Yeah.
Ron. I love Ron. Even recently, like I exchanged a message with him. Just when, like you said, you mentioned it before. When I got told, can I go out on loan?
Yeah.
I spoke to Ron Martin directly, and listen, there's someone that's so passionate about his club, and
Yeah.
I think a lot of people don't realise how hard it is to run or own a football club, like especially a club like Southend, which has got a lot of history, a lot of expectations as well. And at the moment, like you can't lie, it's not probably where it should be. And he's someone that loves his football and loves his club. And obviously, I can't say too much, but I only had very, very good experiences with Ron, and I know for a fact Bristol City did as well. Just always dealt with Ron directly, and everything was fine. I think just this season's been difficult for everyone, and it kind of has probably taken its toll on the owner as well.
Yeah. So you played brilliantly when you joined. You played all 7 games in October, and we kept 3 clean sheets. You won the Fans Player of the Month. How do you describe that first month from your perspective? Because we also felt like we had a gem on our hands.
Yeah. You probably felt that in October, and then it got to like April, May, and you were like, "Fucking, I can't wait to see the back of this kid." It was brilliant because, like I said, I just made sure that I hit the ground running, and I wanted to actually show people like I can play at a good level. Like I'm fed up of people doubting me. I'm fed up of people actually trying to knock me down or trying to tell me that I'm not good enough. Like I need to really kick on and show people that I'm able to play at a good level. And I think when I joined Southend, like I was at the hotel with 1 or 2 other lads. Like I was just taking it all in, and I was training well. Obviously, really enjoyed like Kev Keane, Chris Powell, Damien Matthews as well, Lee Harrison, the goalkeeping coach. And you look at the staff as well behind the scenes, like Steph Russo, who's like strength and conditioning, which I had a lot of work to do. And I basically said with him at the start, like, I want to take as much as I can out of this loan, but I need to keep developing physically as well. Ben Clarkson, the physio, like everyone loves Ben. It was just getting to know everyone and kind of taking it all in my stride. And the lads were fantastic as well. And the minute I kind of did get in the team, I said to myself, I'm here to stay. Like, even if it means playing in a back 3 or back 4 or back whatever it was, I was ready. I just needed to help the team as much as possible. And it was nice for me being back home as well, being back closer to the family, closer to my mum, to my dad, to my brothers, and just like seeing friends again that are based in London and in Essex, and it just gave me that boost. And to, like you said, we were flying, we were absolutely flying. I think we went on an unbelievable run where we ended up beating like Burton, Wickham, Oxford Fleet. Like you said, that October run was brilliant. We had that Tom Hopper who was fit, scoring goals. Coxey up front was doing really well. Cokes was still fit, left back. Absolutely flying. Had such a good team beginning of the season, and deservedly so. We were just pushing up the table, and it was like, right, okay, we can do something this season.
Yeah. So January 1st, Gillingham at home. What goes through your head about that day?
It was funny. So I've got a very, very close friend in France who we kind of grew up together. She plays football. And she's out in the States, and she's on a scholarship out there and hoping to get into like the women's teams out there. And she basically said, listen, like New Year's, I'll come over to England. Like I really want to see you. And I hadn't seen her for 6 months. So she was over, and she said like in the morning of the game, like, I got a funny feeling that you're going to score today, or like something's going to happen. And I had never scored a goal. I was like, listen, don't be silly. Like, and I had all the family there as well, which was brilliant. Because it was close by. It was at home to Gillingham. Like, great game to come watch, and everyone was there, and it just like it couldn't have happened on a better day. And I think we actually had like a fairly good Christmas period. I think we beat Oxford away.
On Boxing Day, I think.
Like I was obviously loving my time. I just needed that one goal. I think like it was actually playing on my. It was such a heavy like weight on my shoulders after a while because I'd had like 3 seasons in professional football and I hadn't scored a goal, so I had nothing to like celebrate and just that I remember that one specific moment where the ball was clearly gone over the line. Like
Don't know what you're on about.
everyone in the opposite stand like
Yeah,
saw it. It clearly went
everyone
over.
saw it.
And then obviously it's a scuffle. Bish picked it up, and I just remember like looking up, and I think there's in the video you can kind of see me like I kind of set off already on my own like goal line. I set off, and I just think like there's no one there, and if he's not going to blow, he's not going to blow. Like just go.
Yeah,
Coxie was up there on his own. He should have been back defending. We were wondering he should have been back defending.
yeah,
So Bish has obviously thrown the ball, and I just said to myself in my mind like. I'm running.
yeah.
Like I just don't care. Like I'm absolutely going for it, and I was blowing as well. I think this was like 93rd, 94th minute.
Yeah,
I was
like literally lost kicks of the game.
So like my friends were there. Like it was, and I just had that extra like bit of energy to go and do it. And I didn't think he'd square it. I honestly didn't. I thought he was going to be greedy. Like especially in the video, you can see he faints. I'm thinking like he's gonna shoot. I just run 100 yards. And he's gonna shoot. And then when he passed it, I knew straight away. I was like, I'm gonna score here, and just the emotion, like that pure emotion, just come out straight away. It was like,
we see it in the photos.
Ran straight over to the corner where like my best friend was. My mum was there, family were there. My granddad, who recently passed away, he was there.
Yeah,
like. There's a fantastic camera angle from like the bottom where like you see me, and just every time I watch that I still get the goosebumps now because it was such a good moment. And then all of a sudden like the gaffer comes running down the touchline as well, and everyone was buzzing.
Like we won the cup final.
Exactly that. Just when you think you've conceded, next thing you know you've won 2-0 and you're absolutely buzzing.
And obviously the added spice of the derby game as well makes it even more better.
Exactly. Even to this day, like I still get a bit of stick from Gillingham fans whenever the video is like trending or someone retweets it, or you always someone who tags a Gillingham fan, and all of a sudden like it all kicks off on Twitter.
So in January, we were, I think I'm right in saying, we were 9 points off the playoffs, but also 9 points off relegation. Were you all as a squad looking up?
Yeah, definitely. And I think we were so gutted for Hops and Cokes, who obviously both did their knees in. I think it was
October. I think Cokes was
October.
Sunderland away.
Cokes was Sunderland away, and Hops was obviously at home to Walsall, I think.
Yeah, the Tuesday night, wasn't it, before Sunderland? And
still like 2 very, very good friends to this day, and it would have been amazing. I think the whole season would have been different if those 2 key players would have been fit a lot longer, because Hops was flying, scoring goals. Cokes was doing really well, and obviously he was playing because he was running out of time with his contract as well, and he was making himself play at the highest level possible to either get a better contract with Southend or push on. And he was so unlucky. Like just both of them were like freak injuries, and you feel so sorry for Ben and Steph at the club who like worked their nuts off and get hit by some freak injuries like that. Because then Lewis Gard obviously did his as well, and like you look at it and Jesus Christ, Harry Lennon was unfortunate because he ended up breaking his leg. And it was like,
as well, wasn't it?
Like major injuries that were kind of out of their control, and it was such a downer on our season that I think it really took its toll. But like you said, even though we were 9 points off relegation, 9 points off playoff, our goal was just push forward.
Keep winning games.
Like I remember I got it was actually after the Gillingham game, I had a phone call from someone at Bristol City just to say, listen, congrats on your goal. By the way, just to let you know, like you are staying at Southend until the end of the season. So was buzzing and really enjoying my time and working with the manager and the coaches and learning a lot. and I think we were just looking forwards really, and everyone wanted to kick on.
Yeah.
We were looking to bring in some other players to maybe help boost the squad a little bit, and everyone was looking forward. And just it was so unfortunate that the second half of the season was the way it was.
Yeah.
But you look back on it now with a smile because we hadn't managed to pull off the great escape.
Definitely. So the last real positive under Chris Powell was probably the 4-0 win against Bradford. Well, it was the last win. Humphreys scored 2 the day he signed. Did you what did you make of that signing? Because he started the day he joined, didn't he?
I think so. I think it was all pretty
signed a Saturday morning.
Might have been that. It all happened pretty quick, but obviously he was at the hotel as well, so we got to spend a lot of time with him.
Yeah.
And there's a great picture of us two like standing on the dressing room roof, like when we stayed up. But obviously someone that came in and boosted the squad as well. I think Theo was in and around it, but looking to go out on loan.
Yeah.
We just needed a bit of a boost, and Humps came in and he provided that. And then obviously another fucking injury blow where he ended up getting smashed in the face away to Accrington and put him out for 3 months, 4 months.
Really bad luck.
Yeah, like really bad luck, but he was definitely a boost. And then obviously I'm going to talk about him because otherwise he'll moan if I don't. Sam Hart. Sam Hart come in and like still to this day, I see him on a regular basis, chat every day. One of my best mates, and I think he will be for years to come. But something just happened, like we just clicked.
Yeah.
The minute we saw each other, we probably realised we were both weirdos and cut from the same cloth. But we just clicked, and like I love him to bits. And he come in and did really well as well. He was a similar situation, like wanted to play at Blackburn, but realised that he needed the games. Come to Southend, something completely different for him. Like he'd never really had to move away, and he had to do that. And listen to you, what a player! Like on his day, like I think he got straight in there with the fans. The fans really liked him as well, and
he was that player who got better every time you saw him.
Exactly, and I think he worked his nuts off as well, and I've really enjoyed playing next to him. Just an amazing player, and we were always looking forward. I think even until like the last 8 games, that's when we started to go like, whoa, like wait a minute,
we're in trouble here.
Like our form's worrying.
Yeah. So at one point we had 13 players injured, and like you said, we were dropping down the table. What was going through your head? Was you scared that you'd be next to get injured?
I think I had a good season in terms of like physical. Didn't really have any injuries. There was one point where I think I had something in my hamstring that lasted a matter of days.
Yeah.
And that was like, I kind of said to the gaffer, like Chris Powell at the time, said, gaffer, like I feel like I can push through it. I'll play.
Yeah.
But his basically answer was, listen, like Taylor, with the amount of injuries you've got at the moment, I don't really want you to force it for one game and it keeps you out for 3. So I'd rather miss out one game, and it was Plymouth. I remember the game Charlie Kelman scored that absolute.
Oh right, yeah.
It was that game, and I just said I agree. I said I want to help the team, I want to play, but it's not 100%, so I can't take the risk. I was like touch wood. Even you look at like someone like John White, who played the amount of games, but he ended up breaking his arm, or like. Yeah. It was mad. People were getting injured, and a lot of them were like freak injuries.
Yeah, like you couldn't ride it, could you?
Exactly, and I think it did take its toll, definitely.
Yeah. So I'm going to talk about probably your first and only bad moment in the Southend shirt. Blackpool away, sellout crowd. Could you feel the occasion as obviously a visiting team? Could you feel that occasion going into the match?
Yeah. Definitely, I think, but it was also something we were looking forward to. It was a game where Blackpool, obviously being there now, you understand how big that game was. How big that game was to them, but it was also massive to us because we needed the win, and we were all playing for the gaffer. Like the gaffer was like brilliant. We nobody wanted to be in that position. Everyone was trying their hardest. You know what I mean? not one person in that whole dressing room that I could say turned around and kind of gave up or gave up on the manager and his coaching staff. Like everyone was trying their best. And going back to that game, like you just said there, I was on the bench. I started on the bench that game and come on with like 10 minutes to go to kind of see it out. I think we were 2-1 up, and just like what happened, Jesus Christ, I've never felt so low in my life.
Could see that the moment it happened.
I actually still look at that video now and I see Harty like behind me just drop to the floor, and just my reaction just says it all as well, where it's kind of like, even looking back on it now, I don't even remember seeing the ball, and it just hits my head.
It did seem like a bit of a freak.
I think it took a deflection off someone else's head, hits mine, and then the ball just rolls slowly into the inside of the post. And like I said, like I've never felt a low like it on a football pitch, where just everything goes through your mind, where what have I just done? What have I just done? I've just cost us a win. Just like, and obviously it made it even worse, where you had like 10, 12, 13,000 Blackpool fans jumping up and down and laughing at you. And that was horrible, because even coming back into the dressing room there, obviously I was to blame. I scored the own goal, like, and the manager, like, fair play to the gaffer, just said like, because there was arguments going off, it was a bit of everything, and the manager just said like, listen, so it's like, it happens. Like, this is Chris Powell, who was obviously under the firing line, I'd say, at the time, and he just said, listen, like, pick your head up. He said, go again. Like, we're gonna work. We'll go again. He said, it happens. It bounced off your head. He said, like, you've been fantastic for me all season. Like, you can't let that get to you. But I was crying my eyes out. I remember I was just like, basically saying to myself, I've like, this is my fault. Yeah. And a lot of the boys who I was obviously friends with just come around, put their arm around me and just said like, don't worry, like, we'll get through this. We'll be all right. And that was definitely a tough one, because I was just like, I was heartbroken. Absolutely heartbroken.
How was that journey home? Because obviously I went and it felt like 3 days to get home.
I know, it felt like forever. It really did feel like forever, that journey home. And even the week after, like, I just remember I'd go to like the David Lloyd, or I'd go into Lee or whatever, and you'd think like, that person's seen my own goal. That person saw my own goal. That person's mad at me as well. Like, and now I can sit here and laugh about it and have a smile on my face. But at the time, like, it wasn't. It really wasn't. And I think that was, like you said there, that was my ultimate low point for Southend, because I just felt at the time I let so many people down and should have done better.
Yeah, did you take comfort in the fans, in the fact that the fans did warn you? Because obviously, you know how I feel. I was tweeting about you every week, but but the whole fan base, did you feel that? Because obviously, if another player had done that, they would have got ripped to shreds. But obviously, where you performed so well for 6 months, not everyone kind of accepted it.
No, I think obviously everyone was entitled to be mad. Like, don't get me wrong, I was mad myself but I just think the way everyone, from not even that day, from day one, everyone kind of just said like, listen, you're part of the club, you're one of us, you're a shrimper, like, and that means the world. Do you know what I mean? You can go to some clubs where you don't feel part of the project, or you don't feel like you. But I always consider myself someone that gives like 110%. Don't get me wrong, like, I will make a mistake, I will. Otherwise, I'd be playing for England if I didn't. Do you know what I mean? You can't be perfect, but I always give 110%. And I think that kind of when you show a team, or when you show supporters that you actually care, and which I did.
Yeah, definitely.
There was no faking it. Like, I actually did care for the club I was playing for Southend.
Yeah.
And I was just like buzzing to be part of it. I think when you show that commitment, a lot of the time you do get it back, and it was fantastic just having that kind of support every day, whether it was on like social media, whether it was actually in the stadium, whether it was, like you said, like, I got voted player of the month a couple of times. Like, it's support, and it just boosts your confidence a lot, and it gives you that extra boost. And it makes you want to do even better. And obviously it's people like yourself that love the club and pay good money to go to the club and keep the club running, and you feel like you need to give back, and that's what I wanted to do.
Yeah, you definitely showed that. A few weeks later, we played Peterborough away, and I think it was a 2-0 defeat. Turned out to be Chris Powell's last game. I feel like you've already answered this, but did you think he deserved a sack?
No. Because like I said, we were in a difficult position. Ultimately, it's not what we think is right or wrong. It's the owner of the club. It's the director of football. It's whoever. Like, maybe we need it. Maybe if we didn't get the change, we wouldn't. Like, nobody knows. Do you know what I mean? But we, like I said, not one person in the dressing room like turned around and gave up, or turned around and threw in the towel and just said like, I don't want to play for you anymore. Like, we were giving 110% for the gaffer and his staff, because they didn't deserve to be in that position either. They've been hit. They built their squad. It's all of a sudden been hit by injuries. It was an absolute like horror show towards like the second half of the season, because we were wanting to do so well, all pushing, and then just luck was against us on so many occasions. Like, you look at the Walsall game towards the end of the season. Like, if we would have won that game, it's a total different story, but we didn't. But I got so much respect for the gaffer, and even like being a massive Spurs fan, I know he is as well. Like, we've exchanged a couple of messages over that since, and he was out in Holland, so just kind of stayed in touch, and that's football, unfortunately. Listen, like, it can happen with managers that leave clubs, players. Everything comes into play, and it's just about maintaining those kind of good relationships. And I think the gaffer knows, like, listen, I tried my best. Do you know what I mean? Like, if it was ultimately down to individuals, like, it's different, but as a team, we all tried our best, and unfortunately that was the outcome.
Yeah. So the club brought in Kevin Bond. What was your honest impressions of him when you first saw him, spoke to him?
Really good, actually, because obviously he'd been at some top clubs with Harry Redknapp as well. So he'd been at the Pompeys and the Spurs.
Yeah,
it doesn't get much better than that. And from a coaching point of view, kind of, he wanted to come in and make a change. He said we had 8 games to go, I think it was, or 7 games to go. Like, let's do it. 6 games, let's do it. Like, let's do it. We've got the players here, and it was just instant belief as well. And I think we had that with Chris Powell as well. We did have the belief, but football happens, and there was a change, and you've got to adapt straight away. Like, there's no sitting there sulking. Like, you've got to adapt, and that's what happened. And even from an individual, I learned a lot during that as well, because you've got to then have 6 games to go. You've got to do the best you can, but you also got to keep developing. And it was interesting having someone who'd had that experience in coaching come in and really show you how you can work and how you can improve on your game. It was brilliant.
Yeah, and Harry Redknapp came to the training ground a few times, didn't he?
Yeah, he was there a couple of times, and like, brilliant. Around the lads would always say hello. Would always come up for a cup of tea when we're all having lunch, and basically ask people, like, how did you think? He'd watch a lot of the games, so he kind of gave his opinion as well. How did you think you did in this situation? Like, I remember him telling Sam Hart, "You're a good player, but don't ever do that again." Like, there was one specific thing, and Sam laughed about it with him. Like, yeah, it was brilliant to have a character like that kind of come in and give us an extra boost, because we needed it.
Yeah. So I want you to say the first word that comes into your head when I mention Walsall.
Ref. Ref, that's the first word. Because
so
it was.
Yeah, we dominate the first half, go 1-0 up, you score, but wasn't.
I know. So the ball come in, and I've watched the goalkeeper go and get it, and he's dropped it. Like, he dropped it. So I just got, and as basically what the ref did is he blew the whistle as the keeper was in the air, which, don't get me wrong, probably I don't know, half of the referees do. But why not wait until he's landed, he's caught, and the action's completely over before blowing your whistle? Obviously, yeah, like I put the ball in the back of the net. I kind of knew when it went in that he'd blown the whistle and it would be like a 50-50 thing. But the ref could have turned around and gone, goal. Like, and I think that wasn't even obviously the turning point in the match. That wasn't even the worst point, because we ended up, Coxey scored, didn't he? We played well that game. I think Elvis missed an absolute sitter.
Yeah.
Bunny probably
quite a few
missed
chances we had as well.
Yeah, Bunny missed a good chance, and I think when you look back on that game, we kind of invited that kind of pressure on ourselves at the end, where, of course, the penalty was going to be given in front of the Walsall end with the ref. After the game the ref had as well.
Yeah.
You kind of saw it. Something like that was always going to happen, and looking back on it now, you just see everyone's face and everyone's reactions exactly the same. Like, oh my God, like what have you just blown for? And he blew for the penalty, and that day really kicked the stuffing out of us. I think that day was probably the hardest one, because we knew if we would have won that game, we would have practically been safe. I think we would have needed 1 point.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. Like, we were bang on probably to win that game. I think we deserved and did everything we can to win that game, and which ended in the ref having to send a written apology to the club.
Yeah, which he did at the end of the season.
Fans saw it. Players could feel it and see it even more. It was weird. It was like I've never been involved in anything like that at all.
Yeah.
But it just goes to show, obviously, if there was a written apology, the level of consideration that went into it from the FA even after the game, where we were hard done by.
And I think that was the first game where we as fans genuinely thought there was a risk of us going down. Did you feel like that as players?
Definitely. Like I said, I think it really kicked the stuffing out of us. That game there, where we've actually done well here, we've played well.
Yeah. And
we kind of put in all the we put in everything in our what did you say? We were making sure everything that we did was to win that game, and we did everything right, and we were just absolutely screwed over.
Yeah. So 3 days later, we had a chance to put that right at Burton at home. We hadn't won at Rootsall since January 1st. So I think that was about 4, nearly 5 months. We ended up winning 3-2, and I'd say at that point, obviously not including Sunderland, probably the best atmosphere at Rootsall I'd heard for years. Did you feel that as a player?
Yeah, definitely. We obviously started the game, and there was pressure, like the pressure to keep the club in League One, was massive for everyone. I'm talking like a 19, 20-year-old like Drew Yearwood, or like someone who's coming towards the end of their career, like Turns or Michael Kitely, who'd been in the Premier League and both had like amazing careers. Everyone was feeling that same pressure that this club, this team, does not deserve to go down. Like, of course, there was always arguments in the dressing room, like when we were losing at home, especially, where lads were looking at each other saying, like, this is embarrassing. We are letting everyone here down. Like, if we go down, people lose their jobs. People, like, this is like serious. Everyone kind of knew that. I think even earlier on, when, like I said, we had probably had 8, 9, 10 games to go, we were on a bit of a slippery slope. It was like, lads, like, let's wake up. Come on, otherwise we're going to get dragged into it. Lo and behold, we were dragged into it.
Yeah.
And like you said, Burton, that game, like, I think Boyce, the striker, for them went off after like 15 minutes or whatever it was, and kind of like gave us a little bit more of a boost, thinking one of their best players is off.
Yeah.
Listen, we need to go for this, and I think we did. Did Bunny score? Yeah, Tim, Bunny. I can't exactly.
I think Kitely. I might be wrong. I think it's that cross which went in.
Oh, I can't remember now. I can't remember, but yeah, that atmosphere, especially towards the end of the game, where like, this is it. People are getting behind us. People are believing that we were hard done by at Walsall last week, but we've come here this week and we're actually like, we're pushing on. And that win was massive. Like, if we didn't get that win, like, we would have been dead and buried before the Sunderland game even kicked off. So we just had that belief, and the game was really, the atmosphere was rocking. Like, it really was. And even there's videos and pictures now I look back on of like, there's a picture of me grabbing the Doc's glasses and just like celebrating. Yeah. You can see everyone's like in the stand, everyone's up, everyone's bouncing, everyone was, I think late on.
I think because they brought it back to 3-1, and then we scored to make it 3-1.
Yeah, I think they had scored late on, and everyone was like, "Oh no, like, here we go."
It was the longest 10 minutes of our life.
I know, but we were fine, and that was a massive win.
Rochdale away, there was 2 games left. We needed 3 points. 1,000 fans travelled. There were questionable decisions by the manager. Obviously, Sam Hart was dropped. What did you make from it, from a personal point?
I just think we knew the support was coming up. We knew the fans were there, and we obviously were on such a high from the Burton game. We just really wanted to kick on and get that win away to Rochdale. At least get a point. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think we, on that day, looking back at it, we were awful. We just string 3 passes together, and Rochdale played us off the park. And the pitch was a shocking pitch, and they played it perfectly compared to us. We just didn't show up. I think they got a goal off a set piece, and it just kind of summed it up. We just didn't feel like we had anything going forward that day. It was dead, and I think that like from us and for the fans, it was kind of like, okay, we were on such a high last week, and this week we're facing doom and gloom again. Like we're away to Rochdale, we can't string 3 passes together. What are we going to do? And that was a difficult one to take, because we all knew that was under par. I'll hold my hands up. Everyone in that dressing room that day would hold their hands up and say, I was terrible today.
Yeah.
Like that's not what we should be giving the fans who just travelled all that way. Because the atmosphere was brilliant. There's no excuse, like there's no support, there's no this, there's no that. Like I wouldn't be able to tell you the team that started off the top of my head, but whatever team's there should be good enough to go and win that game, or go and put in a good performance. Even if you put in an amazing performance and you end up not winning, at least people seeing that there's positives. But there wasn't. There was effort, don't get me wrong, but there wasn't much more. And we didn't deserve to win that game, and we put ourselves in such a horrible position going into the Sunderland game.
Yeah, so like you said, final game. Can you talk me through the 7 days leading up to that? Because I didn't sleep much, I didn't eat much, and I couldn't do anything about it. So what about you?
I had belief in us, and I was kind of, like I said earlier, like I put a lot of pressure on myself.
Yeah.
To make sure that like we won that game. This club, this is not going to League Two. Like, this is not whilst I'm here. This club isn't. And I remember being at the hotel that week, and just all you could think about was the game.
Yeah.
All you could think about was that build up to the game, and how big this game was, not only for us personally, but also for the fans. Not only that, it's on TV. Like, if you go down, it's on TV. If you stay up, like, what a fantastic feeling it was to end up staying up, and it was on TV, and you had so many people watching, and it just showed like all the emotion come out. I think, especially like for us younger players who cared so much about the club. I'm talking to like Drew, Elvis, Humps, Harty, myself. Like everyone was absolutely buzzing. But that 7 days, the build up was difficult, because we didn't know which team would start. We didn't know what the formation would be until quite late, because I don't even think the manager knew at the time. Like we were in a situation where lose that game, the whole club, like the like what was to play for was huge. So there was a lot of meetings, I think, just with the chairman, who just basically stated, lads, like, this is the biggest game of your lives. This is massive to me. This is massive to the club, to the people here in Southend. This is huge. There's no like getting around it. So we had a lot of meetings. We had a lot of also like clips. We were watching clips, like, lads, this is what we can do. This is Sunderland. This is what they're about. And we kind of expected them to change their squad up a little bit, because they were resting. They had like a busy end to the season with the JPT final. Then they had the playoffs, obviously, that they were looking forward to. Aidan McGeady wasn't playing week in, week out, which was like a massive boost. And I think just what the manager ended up doing was going like quite experienced at the back, and making sure that however we approached that game, like there was enough experience in there to deal with it and to take on that pressure. And I played left back. I'm not a left back. Like, don't get me wrong. My left foot's terrible. But playing left back in a game like that, even if I wasn't playing in my preferred position, it showed that the manager had a lot of faith and showed that he believed in me to go out and put a performance in for him, for the club, for everyone at that moment in time. The game was massive. So I played left back, Harty left wing. Obviously Turns and Whitey played centre half as well, which was brilliant. Like 2 experienced heads, and we pulled through. We pulled through. Like I said, the emotion going into that game and what everyone in that stadium felt that day. Like it will live with you. It will live with me definitely forever. Yeah, and probably will live with a lot of Southend fans forever, because
without a doubt.
So we nearly went down when we didn't deserve that at all, and we managed to do it by the skin of our teeth, but we did it.
Yeah, so we're going to go through the game bit by bit. We go 1-0 up. What's your thoughts at that moment?
Buzzing. Obviously, that goal was amazing.
Yeah, it will never happen again.
He didn't even know much about it. I don't know. He just like instinctively did it. And but obviously, Drew missed a really good chance in the first 10 minutes. I think it was.
Yeah.
Where we started the game well. I remember we started the game well. Sunderland were dangerous on the counter attacks. They were dangerous, especially in wide areas. But we thought we were doing well, and obviously you could feel the support. You could feel there was a nervousness around the place, but you could also feel like there was a backing. Come on, lads, that we can do this. That we pull through. So I'm just saying that what was brilliant that day was the whole build up to the game. You knew that everyone was behind you. We even watched like a clip in the dressing room before the game that was organised by the manager and organised by all the staff. That was just basically like a boost to everyone to get us going. And not that you needed much more motivation for a game like that, but it was lovely. Like the chairman basically come in and just did his speech and just said, obviously this is what I expect, and as a club, but as a chairman, I believe in you, and we're going to pull through this together. But yeah, the 90 minutes, I think we managed to go 1-0 up. Then obviously they equalised, which I think it was a weird ball, came off my head. Then it was obviously a penalty, wasn't it?
Yeah, White pushed.
Which was harsh really. I thought at the time when he blew for a pen, it was like, oh my God, like here we go kind of thing. And with 10, 15 minutes to go, it was not the situation you wanted to be in.
Yeah.
And I think that's really when you felt the nerves. Everyone just kind of had their heart in their mouth there for a bit, and nobody really knew what to think, and everyone was worried. And then I came off with 10 minutes to go, maybe.
78th minute.
So there you go. Quick, get me off as quick as possible. I came off, and I think Macca, Stephen McLaughlin come on, or just more. We were just going for it. We had to go for it, backing players. So get me off, like 100%. Get me off and get someone else on. And like, fantastic. What a
rest is history.
Definitely. Like Hump's come and popped up with that goal. Like, you can't write it, really, can you? Especially with his face mask and everything. Like, just watching that video every time still gives me goosebumps and makes me smile, because you just show like how much it meant to everyone. And there's like a picture of me just sitting on top of the bench, just like I was going absolutely mental. Like, even looking back at it now, if I was watching myself, I'd stand there looking, think, what are you doing? Like, but it was just all coming out. All the emotion was coming out, and it was fantastic to be part of it that day.
Yeah, and then what did you make of the scenes at full time? Obviously, you had the chant
the whole ground singing, "We want you to stay." I'm going to take credit for that. What did you make of that? Like, obviously, you've been on loan. It ended the best way possible. You've been very open about how you feel about the club, but from the 90th minute to the rest of that evening, what was it like for you?
It was brilliant. It was brilliant because, like, there's a picture I've got framed now of that moment where I'm just sitting down, and you can see obviously all the blue smoke and the balloons, and you see everyone, and just like, I don't think there's not one person in that picture is not smiling. It just shows whatever we've done, obviously that creates that kind of emotion for other people as well. And it was special. And I think all the chants like that year, and like I said, we go back to the support. I felt that, like, I really felt that there was a connection with people at the club, whether it's staff, players. There was also a connection with fans, and there was a connection with people in the community as well, which meant the world. And like you said, there's that chant at the end saying, "We want you to stay," and you're kind of like, "Oh my God, where do I put myself?" When all I wanted to do was get up and be like, "Yes, me too, me too." Do you know what I mean? But obviously you can't with everything going on, and I didn't know what was going to be happening that summer, and but it was brilliant. Like, just that, it's making me smile thinking about it. But that chant and people singing that just meant the world.
Yeah. So you returned to Bristol City. Actually, before that, how would you describe your time at Southend? Like, I know we've gone through it, but if you could sum it up.
Sum it up into a few words: just unbelievable from start to finish. Like I said, that the first day where I get into the hotel room, there's like some kit, and you kind of don't know what to expect, and you start taking the first baby steps, and next thing you know, you play a full season full of ups and downs, and met so many amazing people that year. Like, even to this day, still friends with a lot of the boys, still message and speak to quite a few of the staff, and met a lot of people in the community as well, or in the area. And just unbelievable, because it was the first club really where I felt that I was part of something special. Like, I felt I was part of that squad, part of the club, and it was amazing just to have a club show that much faith in me as well. After, like, we've spoken in it over this call, where it was so difficult for a few years, and like I've had my struggles. Like, of course I've struggled mentally, of course I've struggled in a lot more ways than people think. Like, fantastic, we are privileged, but there are a lot of lows in this as well. And it made me fall in love with football again. That club, the club the year, made me fall in love with football again, and made me kind of believe in myself to really kick on and go back to Bristol City and really, really, really show my ability.
Yeah, so you returned to Bristol City, and you featured quite prominently at the start of the season, because we'd watch the highlights on our phone during the game, like get the text updates. You scored once, didn't you? And you got quite a few assists, if I'm right.
Yeah, so went back to, obviously that summer was quite interesting, because I had a meeting with the manager at Bristol City, who was basically really happy. He just said, "Listen, like, I've not got a bad thing to say. Everyone at Southend's come back with positive reports. Apparently you've had a good season. You're maturing again. So we want to see you, and we'll probably make a decision from there whether, like, what, nobody knew what was going to happen that summer." And then it was interesting also having like a conversation with Kevin Bond and Ron Martin, who just basically said, "Taylor, like, we'd like to have you as a permanent Southend player. Like, would that be something that interests you?" And my answer to that was yes, it would. However, I have a contract with Bristol City, and I need to obviously respect that, and that's my club as it stands. I can't thank you both enough for the time at the club, but as it stands, I need to go back to Bristol City, and then we'll make a decision. And obviously for me, my personal objective is to play at the highest level possible. So if I can go back to Bristol City, absolutely smash it at a great club, I have to. It's a no-brainer.
Yeah, definitely.
That was basically the conversation that went on with them, where I just said, "Listen, my priority is Bristol City for the moment, and we'll see from there." But it was something that, like, it was nice. Do you know what I mean? Having a chairman ring you up to say, like, "You've only been here a year, but I really want to sign it." That was brilliant.
Yeah.
a manager saying like, I'd love to make you my first signing of the summer. Like it was so flattering, and it kind of, I think, gave me maybe even more motivation to go and back myself when I went back to Bristol City and kick on there. And I went back and had a really, really good pre-season with Bristol. Like you said, I ended up playing 24 games in the first half of the season.
Yeah.
If you would have told me at the beginning of the season you're going to play 10, I would have put your hand up for it. So playing at that level, that championship level, and really kicking on and improving myself at that level after a successful season in League One was vital. And like, it's another step up. It's learning again. So I've just turned 23, so it's like testing myself again. And you look back at it and think, well, I was at Cheltenham, bottom of League 2 years ago, and now I'm back and I'm playing for Bristol City. Like, it's an amazing club playing at a championship level. And I was flying, doing really, really well. And January came, and I think I was like in and out the team, and maybe a bit more. We were doing well. I think we were 5th or 6th. We were in the playoffs, and then obviously got told that the club were interested in sending me out on loan. And it all happened so late on in the window. The options were very, very limited.
Yeah.
So when I had to sit down with Lee Johnson, the manager at Bristol City, and I just basically said, like, where do you want me to go on loan? Where can I go on loan? Has anyone rang you? Like, I don't really know. It was a bit out of the blue, to be honest. And my first question was like, Gaff, if no one's come forward, like, would you mind if I go back to Southend? And I think at the time it was like towards the end of January, Southend were already bottom of the league, and the gaffer just said, listen, Taylor, like, I know you love the club, I know you want to go back there, but like for me and your development, he said, I think we need to aim for someone who's maybe in and around the playoffs or looking to push up the table.
Yeah.
And a couple of hours after that conversation with him, I had a phone call from Simon Grayson come through, and that was it. Within the space of 10-15 minutes, I just agreed that if no one was going to take me and Blackpool were interested, it's a massive club. Like, I'd already scored for them the year before.
Yeah.
It's a massive club, and it's a no-brainer, and I had to do it. And unfortunately, I was only there for 2 weeks with Simon Grayson because he ended up losing his job as manager of Blackpool.
Yeah, so like you said, you joined Blackpool. How have you found it, your time there, although it's been short?
Of course, my first bloody game was against Southend, wasn't it? Which was heartbreaking. Like, just seeing a lot of the boys. Like, I was laughing with Elvis like before the game. Like, we had a catch up, and it was so good to see like familiar faces. But it was so hard. It was so hard. Like, going out there trying to beat a club that you think so highly of. But we did in the end. We obviously got the win, which was good. The manager needed that at the time, and it's good. It is a good club. They have like a very stable owner there now. After all their problems that they've had in the past, it's brilliant. They're getting the fans back in. They're getting the community back involved.
Yeah,
there is like such a positivity around the place and around the club and how they're moving forward. Definitely like a club that will kick on over the next few years. I think the owner has that ambition. They have a very good CEO there, a very good manager that's just come in Neil Critchley, who was obviously manager of the Liverpool under-23s. So comes from elite, knows what to expect if you want to be an elite player. And it's been brilliant. It's been brilliant. I've been back up north. I've been seeing Sam Hart a lot. But this time, once again, like I said, I'm back up north, but I know people. I know how to act when I go out on loan. I know how to, and it's just, if I didn't have those maybe not so good experience a few years ago, I wouldn't be taking everything in my stride now. And don't get me wrong, like I'm not like the finished article or anything like that. I never said I was, but I'm learning and I'm enjoying it, and I'm enjoying my football once again.
Yeah, good. And like you said, your first game was against Southend. When they scored, you didn't celebrate, and I think every single fan in the Southend end appreciated that. Was it like not even subconscious? Did you even consider celebrating?
No. I think even if I scored, I wouldn't have celebrated there really, because why would you do that when a year ago you were in their shoes and you were giving 100% for that club? And I've always stated how much I love Southend, how much I love the club, and how much I always will love the club. There is no, I can't say that on social media or say this and then go and celebrate or something with Blackpool. It just didn't even come through my head. And obviously for people to notice that as well, it's quite nice. It's like, oh God, like he actually cares. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which is the case.
Yeah, definitely. So obviously, no hiding. Southend's had a horrible season. Are you surprised by it?
I'm going to say yes, because the ability of the players that they still have there. But obviously, I'm not there. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm not in and around it, and I don't know the ins and outs of it, so I can't really comment on something that I don't know anything about. I still speak to some of the boys. Still speak to some of the boys that left. So like Hops, Cokes, Coxey, like they're no longer there. So I don't really have that inside information anymore.
Yeah.
It's a different manager. There's a different probably vibe around the place and different players as well. So I can't really comment on something that I know nothing about.
Yeah. So you've just turned 23 2 weeks ago, I think. Are your eyes on the Premier League, England call up? Where do you think your career can go?
I think I need to be realistic. Definitely, don't get me wrong. Definitely, that's my goal. But I'm also being realistic in terms of, well, I've been in League 2, I've been in League 1, Championship a little bit. Now I'm back in League 1. Just keep building. I just want to keep building. And if I want to get to the Premier League, definitely. That's everyone's goal, especially as a centre-half, even if you're 24, 25, 26. Even if you can get to the Premier League, you can get promoted with Bristol City, you can get promoted with another club to get there, you can get bought. There's so many ways of getting there. You could go abroad again and to then come back.
Yeah.
But that is a goal of mine. I'd say England's that's not even in my head, because I just want to concentrate on what's in front here and get into that Bristol City team and kick on with them.
Yeah.
But I need to definitely take it step by step. But yeah, I'd say my goal still now at 23 is one day Premier League.
Yeah.
However that may come.
Yeah. So I sent you them last night. We've had a lot of questions from fans, and they're all of a similar nature. We'll crack through them.
Hit me.
Jack Sargent wants to know, what was Chris Powell like, both as a man and as a manager?
As a man, first and foremost, because that's what's more important. Someone that was really approachable, someone that always had a smile on their face and always had the capability of putting their arm around you and just having a chat, even if it was nothing to do with football. He was so approachable, and like I said, I was lucky enough, I knew him a few years before at England, and just as a coach as well and as a manager, he was really, really good. He's not played at that level for no reason. Do you know what I mean? He was Mr. Charlton and played for England and had a fantastic career. And he was someone that cared. He genuinely cared about the club, about the fans, about everyone. Even if there was a little a boy or a girl that was waiting to be a mascot, he'd always find time. He's always someone that I actually really appreciated working with, and hopefully I will get to work with again one day.
Yeah. And Ashley Peeps says, what was the emotions after the final whistle against Sunderland? I think we've already covered it, but if you could in one sentence.
Already covered it, but definitely never experienced anything like it in football. Especially at men's football. This is like I said, you're playing with people's livelihoods here. And I was so glad that after, if we would have went down that season, that whole loan, you could have played as well as you want. At the end of the day, it's bang, you went down. You were terrible, do you know what I mean? But because we didn't, that whole year just made it that extra bit special.
Yeah.
And just, I took a massive positive out of that. But emotions at that final whistle were just running so high. There's Drew Yearwood was crying his eyes out, and I was just Drew, come here, giving him a hug, jumping up and down on the top of the bench, and just even after that, I think we all went out. All the boys went out with the wives, with the girlfriends, all the single. Like it was brilliant. It was such a good night out, and like it's memories that will last a lifetime.
Yeah, and there's where we get into the questions which are a bit similar. I think you know what's coming up. Ben Humphrey says, "Would you like to return to Southend one day?"
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
definitely. I think like that's football. Do you know what I mean? I just said to you there, like, I want to test myself at the highest level possible.
yeah,
But it's somewhere that I'm so fond of, and somewhere that I absolutely loved playing my football. That if I can't say no to that, it might never happen. You never know. Do you know what I mean? But it's something that will always be on my mind now. Just saying like that's a club and a place that I'm really fond of. Like I'd definitely love to one day. Why not come back and whether that's in whether that's in 1 year or 20 for 1 year or 10 years, you never know. But yeah, it's something that I definitely would love to do.
Yeah, well, Brad Coop wants to know how much would he have to sell his kidney for you to come back?
he can ring Bristol City up himself, but no, like I said, my main goal at the moment is to come with Bristol, and like Southend for me was a fantastic chapter, and it might not be finished, but maybe one day we'll get to meet again. But for the moment, like I'm concentrating on Bristol City, which is a massive club that deserves to get to the Premier League. And hopefully it will happen sooner rather than later, and I'll be part of it.
Yeah, and he also says, would you ever come for a beer in Southend with some fans?
Oh, definitely. So the minute the Peter boat opens in Lee and some places like that, I'll be down there. Don't you worry about that. But I like I said, like I've actually been back quite a lot because I met a lot of people whilst I was at Southend, and just like obviously seeing friends and their families and stuff like that. It's only 45 minutes from my mum, so whenever I'm here, I always try and find a time, most of the time, to go and see someone, even if it's for a coffee or breakfast or lunch or whatever. And also, obviously, there's someone who I got on really well with at the club is Ken, little Ken. So I go back and obviously I've seen him as well. Just like you said, you meet people and you form relationships when you go out on loan, and that's why Southend was also very special, because I met a lot of good people.
Yeah. Matt Ramsey and Louis Ellison both said, were there ever any chance to sign for us permanently? Like any talks?
Yeah, I think obviously like Bristol City kind of battered it away straight away and just said like, no, we're having a look at Taylor first and then we'll decide. If it wouldn't have happened, if it would have been a bit different, maybe if pre-season wasn't as good, you never know what could have happened, because any club could have you never know with football. You can be at one end of the country or the other. But I think it was in my head 100%. Like, I didn't know what Bristol City were thinking. I didn't know what they needed or expected, or if they were going to bring other players in. So I think it obviously there was talks, and like I said, I was flattered to get the call off Ron and off the gaffer to say, well, we'd love to sign you if you're open to it. But I just had to basically tell him the honest truth. Like, I want to kick on and really push on Bristol City. So as it stands, like, thank you, but we'll see.
Yeah. Dan McAvoy says, apart from Sunderland, what was one standout highlight from Southend?
Gillingham game.
Gillingham
game, I think, because like I said, there was so many people at that game. But just the emotion when I scored, I was like buzzing. Like Sunderland's obviously the standout one. But I'm going to say just the amount of good people that I met there. So many that I haven't even mentioned. But just in general, the general love that I've got for that place, definitely.
Yeah, and he also says, is there a particular thing you learned about yourself as a player and as an individual about your time with us?
Yes. I think specifically, I'd just say that you've got to, like, sometimes during the season, you've got to embrace the lows. You've got to accept where you are. You've got to accept that this is like what you're going through. There's no point thinking about pushing up the table or promotion or anything like that when you're sitting like 5 points off the top, and it's like, deal with where you're at first and keep kicking on. But yeah, I think as a person, like, just going there and making sure that I knew how to adapt and how to react and how to make sure I settled in really well, because I think the boys made it really easy for me. Like, I'm thinking of like Cokes and Hops, Coxie especially, like really put his arm around me. Turns taught me a lot, even when we were training every day. Like Whitey as well, like, and the list goes on. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Every teaches you something different, but I just think, me personally, I just learned to go with the flow of it, and just I was enjoying it again. I learned to fall in love with football again.
Yeah. Theo Pafiti says, the best goal you've seen a teammate score live.
I'm going to say at Southend, the standout one's Charlie Kelman's goal. Like, the way he kind of come on for his debut and just had the audacity to try that at 16 years old.
Yeah.
And like, it paid off and went in. Like, wow. Humps's one was at Southend again. Humps's one was quite good at Bradford, where he cut in on his left and bent in. That was quite good. And then I'm also going to say that season, one of the standout goals was Coxey's third one against Portsmouth.
Oh yeah, with
He
DM.
drops in the hole and he like passes to Tim, and Tim plays that like really good reverse pass.
Yeah.
And he takes it so well, finishes it brilliantly, and that was obviously a standout goal that season.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's been a couple, especially at Bristol. Like, some of the goals that have gone in have been brilliant.
Yeah. Matthew Marr says, who helped you settle into Southend the most when you joined?
I'm going to say, in general, everyone, because you rely on someone like the kit man, for example, who you might see him for 1 minute every morning, but like, if he's in a good mood and if he's like making sure you're all right and you've got everything you need, like, it helps. Do you know what I mean? I've been to places where people around the place are miserable, or people around the place that don't make that extra effort, and I just think everyone at the club did, whether that's the photographer, whether that's the girls that were looking after the mascots, or whether that was people up in the bar. Like, after the game, you'd go up and you'd interact with fans, and you'd go up and see your family, and there's people up there who would just always make sure you were okay and you were settling in. And I just felt that if there was anything that I needed, I could have opened up to absolutely anyone. But obviously, in the team, I'm going to have to say Coxie, because he really put his arm around me, and just we got on like a house on fire. And he just like was there. Even some nights where I was at the hotel, at the seafront, and he'd just be like, "What are you up to? You on your own? Come down, come for dinner, come for a coffee." Like, we'd always try and do something similar for Tom Hopper as well, who was down, he was on his own, and we got on really well. And then Harty came, so I just didn't speak to anyone else after that.
Leading on to that, George Allison says, what is your best moment with Sam Hart?
I can't even say that on camera. We've got loads. Like, even more recently, like, we've been on golf trips, fishing trips, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And you can, like, some of the stuff that happens, like. But everyone knows that video where he just boots the ball up in the air and I go to control it and it comes off my shin and bounces, and just watching him run over and laughing his head off, like, that video always makes me laugh. He's a character, and he'll be one of our best mates for years and years to come, that's for sure.
Yeah, well, the final question I've got is, if you could give your 7-year-old you one bit of advice, what would that be?
I'd say never give up. And I'd also say that, like, even when I'd say to a 7-year-old me, go and use Jamie Edwards as a mental coach, because he'll change your life. But as a 7-year-old me, I'd just kind of say, listen, like, it is going to get tough. Like, it's not all going to be fantastic. Like, if anything, there's probably more tough times than there is good. And I think that's not just for me. I think that's everyone in life in general. There'll always be, like, tough times that are going to get you down, that are going to dwell on you, but you got you got to pick yourself back up. You got to find a way to keep going. And I think if I were to talk in terms of football, I'd just say give 100% all the time. Don't give anyone any excuse at all to not play you or not give you an opportunity. Like, make sure you're creating that opportunity for yourself. Like, nothing's going to be given to you or handed to you on a plate.
Yeah.
Just got to keep going and keep pushing and always look to improve, always look to get better.
Yeah.
So yeah, anyone who's younger and listening to this, definitely take that bit of advice on.
Cool. So the last thing we're going to do is, I think it's been about 2 hours. I hope I haven't bored you too much.
No, it's always been a pleasure.
Good. We're going to go.
We've not really done anything like this during lockdown or even before, especially like regarding Southend. Like, I always get asked, "Oh, would you come back? Would you come back?" Like, you can't really say something, and you need to be careful what you say over social media. Like, you're doing this podcast for a great cause. You're someone that I've known since I've been at Southend. Obviously, followed and appreciated your support from the start. So it was a no-brainer to come on and do this. And I'd also like to donate towards the charity as well.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Cheers. So the last thing we're going to do is you've played against some good players, Mbappe. You once got called Mbappe, as you know.
Yeah.
But you've also played with some great players. So I'm going to ask you for your favourite 11. It could be at a club or at international level, with, if you can, less than 4 per team.
Ooh. So in goal, I'm going to go Dean Henderson, who I was with at England a couple of years ago, and he's obviously flying now, Sheffield United.
Yep.
Centre half, I'm going to go Joe Gomez.
Mm-hmm.
Really good. And I'm also going to go for Adam Webster.
Yep.
Bristol City. Left back. Left back. I'm going to go for. I'm going to go, in terms of like what I've seen, I'm actually going to say. I'm going to say Harty, because otherwise he's going to cry.
I was just about to say that.
He's going to cry if I don't put him in there. Harty, right back, I'm going to go for. Who would I play with? Right, Kyle Walker-Peters.
All right. Yeah.
And Southampton, yeah. So right back, he was really, really good. Midfield, I'm going to go for Josh Brownhill, Bristol City.
Yep.
And I'm going to go for Lewis Cook, who's at Bournemouth now.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very good player. And on the wing, I'm going to go for Pat Roberts, Manchester City, on loan at Middlesbrough at the moment. Unbelievable ability. And I'm also going to go for Nicholas Eliasson, who's at Bristol City, Swedish winger, who has the pace like I've never ever seen before, and he's got a shift and a step over where it's actually frightening to defend against, because you know he's going to make you jolt and he's going to make a fool of you. And up front, I'm going to go for Tammy Abraham.
Mm-hmm.
And in the 10, I'll go for Coxey, because he'll cry otherwise if I don't put him. I mean that as well. He's a fucking great player, and he definitely deserves to be in there.
And who's manager?
Ooh,
who's had the biggest impact on your career?
He's my manager at Bristol City.
Cool. Right. Well, I really appreciate you talking to me. It's been great hearing your story. And obviously, football's not all about the highs, and you've come back from some pretty lows. So, thank you.
My pleasure.
And we'll see everyone next week when we get another special guest. Thank you, everyone.